cheated.
What happened, Tiffany? What happened? The vote already happened. Who's the slave? Who's the slave? Who's the slave? Who's the slave? We won't stand for it.
Tiffany, tell me what happened.
None of y'all vote. The police
Tiffany, tell us what happened. This ain't your crime.
just did an illegal meeting.
Who's the slave?
Could you lose 80% of your income and still pay all of your bills? Now, unless you got a mean stock portfolio, some assets that you can liquidate, or just a whole lot of extra cash in the bank, for most people, the answer to that question is no. Tiffany Henyard, the super mayor of Thornton, Illinois, is also the supervisor of Thornton Township, where she earns $224,000 per year. Now, that money is in jeopardy. The people of Thornton Township held a caucus, first caucus they have held in decades, and voted someone else to represent the Democratic Party. Now, it's not over for Tiffany yet. She's still got some cards she can play. And at this point, regardless of what other people say, nobody knows how this is gonna end. But we do know she has until April 2025. Welcome to the Mr. Wilson's Got a Headache podcast. I'm your host, Dennis the Menace. As I always say, since you're here, do me a favor, like the video, join the conversation in the comments, and if you want to be updated on things like this, subscribe to the channel for future content. According to the local news media, Illinois state law allows for a state senator to decide whether their party will hold a primary election or a caucus. A caucus is similar to what the people wanted the Democratic Party to do after Joe Biden dropped out of the presidential race. But instead, the Democratic Party implanted Kamala Harris. Now we're seeing the same thing play out with Tiffany Henyard. The Democratic Party in the local area is done with the candidate that they elected, and now they're moving them out of the way to make way for someone else. But who better to tell you what was happening than people who were actually in the room? Check this out.
This is my first time being part of a caucus as well, but the committeeman introduced himself, and then he introduced his slate, and the people just nominated us, yay, So it was unanimous. The whole room was happy. They were for all of us that were part of the slate. So everything went well, and we're all ready to keep on working for the people here.
What's your reaction on what happened here tonight?
Well, I mean, it's a good night. It's kind of, I don't want to say the first step, but, obviously one of the steps to, making some good change at the township. And like I said, we still got obviously some, work to do on both ends, not only on obviously the election, but also, just with the day-to-day stuff in the township. So we still have a lot of work to do, but it's just going to help us as far as getting the township back on track. It was. I mean, I didn't really know too much about the process, in all honesty. But yeah, I mean, it was chaotic, but that's kind of a caucus. I mean, I don't think there's really too many other ways to have a caucus. It's kind of the way it is.
I just spoke about how the state senator for their area has the right to decide whether they're going to have a Democratic primary or an open room caucus. But when I heard that the exact state senator who made that decision ended up being the candidate to replace Tiffany Henyard, it smelled a little fishy at first. Even though most people would agree that maybe Tiffany Henyard needs to find another career path, it still doesn't look good on this senator, in my opinion, that he goes in and takes her job after making this type of decision. I would think that at least for the optics of it, you would nominate someone else. And if that's the law in Illinois, it is what it is. And from the clips that we just watched, even the people who were nominated for office don't know the rules of how a caucus is properly supposed to be done in their area. And now valid questions are being raised. The very next day, Tiffany Henyard and her lawyers already made claims that the caucus was not done exactly to the letter of the law. And if this turns out to be true, she probably has a case. Check this out.
Absolutely, guys. What a mess. I got to tell you, we've been speaking to attorneys all day long about yesterday's very chaotic caucus, Democratic caucus in Thornton Township. Attorneys representing Senator Napoleon Harris, who led the caucus, tell us that Henyard did not have a full slate, including a certified assessor. We also spoke to Henyard herself by phone today, and her attorney, they claimed that she was specifically targeted by caucus rules.
Napoleon Harris is a coward. He is a coward for not allowing the people to be heard.
Those rules eliminated any chances that Tiffany Henyard had, even if she had nominated anyone, even if she had nominated herself.
Attorney Max Solomon is referencing this document right here, page 5 of caucus rules, saying supervisor candidates cannot already appear on the ballot for another office. Henyard is currently running for re-election as Dalton's mayor. Solomon says they did not receive caucus rules until the day of. Harris's attorney says they could have asked for the rules earlier. Now, yesterday's caucus was slated to start at 7 p.m., but Harris's supporters were pre-registered. They were allowed in earlier. The caucus lasted 7 minutes, with Harris being nominated as Thornton Township supervisor for the Democratic ticket. Fox 32 reached out to a non-partial election attorney and sent her the caucus rules. Here's more from attorney Carolyn Kaufner.
I have reviewed the caucus rules that they employed yesterday, and I know that they weren't followed because one of them requires everybody who's there, who's voting, to sign in and sign an affidavit attesting that they're qualified under the rules set forth by the election code and also by the caucus. I know there were people present there that didn't sign those affidavits who voted anyway, so that shows me there's a flaw. I know there were candidates for other offices who are not members of the Democratic Party who are running in this election as independent candidates for office in Thornton Township. I've heard they were present and participating. So what it sounds like is this was a little bit of a free-for-all.
Now, I'm not saying who's right or wrong in this situation. All I'm saying is that all of the news that surrounds Tiffany Henyard seems to leave you baffled and trying to figure out what's really going on. Hearing from legal experts that the people who held the caucus may have missed some vital steps, it's just going to leave us all in limbo until all of the court proceedings have been done. So keep in mind that anybody who tells you that they know exactly what's going on, they're not being honest with you. I'm going to keep an eye on this story, and I'm going to make sure that I'm patient before I release a video so that I can give you accurate information on this story, just like I do with my other content. If this is a subject that you want to be updated on, do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel to see the future videos, and join the conversation in the comments section. There's really nothing else to be said about this situation because now everything is going to be tied up in court. So as always, I'll see you in the next video.